will. Okay, well, want to welcome everyone today for another edition of AI Insiders. And today we've got a wonderful slew of presenters, three in particular. This one I've been looking forward to for a while because I've been longtime friends with Jessica Peltz-Zachulev and Michael Miraflor, who are over at the VC firm Hannah Gray, and Jessica is one of the founders of it. And so they're just also it's a lot of fun because you don't always meet VCs who are coming from the agency side, and so they've got that lens on recognizing talent and teams and how things should be applied. So it becomes a very easy conversation when it's like, well, what kind of tech makes sense to share with a group of marketers? And so we're gonna see some roughly 8-minute overviews and some demos. We'll have Q&A with each one after for a similar amount of time. So please be prepared with questions. It's a little bit different in that we have a little more structure than usual, and that we'll let the presenters present and then do Q&A. Sometimes a little more free flowing, but we do, as always, want to make this interactive. And so as you have things that you want to share, then by all means, things that you want to ask, and great. And if you have things that you just want to make sure are covered, feel free to just put them into the chat, and we'll make sure to address them. So Jess, you want to go and introduce yourself and the team a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, David, and everybody for having us. We're so happy to be here. Just to give you a little bit of background context on us, Hannah Gray, we're a $51 million venture capital firm based in New York, Denver, and LA, pre-seed. So a lot of times we're investing in companies that are pre-product, pre-revenue, or being really early, but really at that forefront of identifying changes on how to really connect authentically with the customers and really identify how the world is changing to create new areas of opportunity. Just to give you some background on me, I actually spent 10 years working on the agency side. I spent time at Zenith Media and also Initiative and Evolution, which was one of the first innovation boutiques that specialized in connecting brands and startups, where I first met David. David's over there for me. And just immediately hit it off because I think both of us really had a spirit and just a love for helping startups find their first customers and helping big brands learn how to commercialize with emerging technology. So from there, I got into corporate venture capital. I spent 6 years working and managing Stagwell's corporate venture capital arm, investing in a lot of early stage MarTech, ad tech, and a few years ago left to join my partner Kate to launch Hannah Gray, and like I said, closed a $51 million fund. So what you're going to see today is a few of our portfolio founders who are really building at the forefront of marketing technology, data, analytics, and change for brands and consumers. So I'm so excited for you to meet them. You are meeting the founders and the visionaries behind these companies. So no question is off limits. Maybe I should have checked with Josh, Chaz, and Ethan before I said that. But really, these founders love questions. They love to be pushed on their thinking. They love to hear from you, your feedback, what's working, what's not working. So just appreciate the candor, the feedback, the questions, and the interest and enthusiasm for what everybody is building. So we're going to start with Glisten. I'm actually going to pin Ethan. Ethan is based in San Francisco, and he is the founder of a company called Glisten. So I will turn it over to him.
Thanks, Jessica. David, Jessica, thank you guys very much for this opportunity. We're really grateful. And thank you everybody else for joining. We're excited to be able to share what we're working on with you. Just to set the stage for what we've built. If you look at what brands are doing now, they are more and more trying to engage across an array of influencers and creators. You can no longer just buy at the top of the power curve of creators. They're saturated. And really, as you're looking for more niche and authentic engagement with influencer and creator communities, you need to look further down into micro influencers, these more medium tier creators and influencers who actually now are actually quite large in terms of audience size. So this is wonderful. It opens up this really diverse kind of topology of the kinds of communities and therefore audiences that are going to resonate with products. But it also presents a new problem, which is that it's very hard to scale that. It's very hard to understand that diversity. And the existing tools that are out there for discovery and really trying to align a given campaign or initiative against a set of creators is really outmatched. They are operating on old school metrics. They will try and tell you that these creators fit this genre and they have this engagement rate, but they will not tell you why. I can show you a myriad number of creators that all have the same engagement rate for totally different reasons. So engagement rate in and of itself is a rather superficial first cut metric that only gets you to the next question, which is why? Why am I going to work with these people? Why do these communities actually resonate with my brand? Up until now, that has been really, really hard to do, to be able to find authentic alignment because communities and content is messy. For the most part, it is this kind of like subjective hodgepodge of things being said, memes, odd language being used, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with the advent of AI, and in particular, its focus on natural language processing, we can make the subjective, objective, and measurable. And really, that's what our team has been focused on, finding ways to take this kind of subjective soup of this middle to micro tier of creators and their communities and be able to open it up so that you can have these sorts of diverse queries and interests. Basically, this is my brand, this is my campaign, this is my identity. How does it match? And who are these like swaths of creators that I can work with in bulk without stepping on a landmine, finding somebody who's been talking about some crazy stuff that I didn't know about, or that just simply isn't going to speak in a good on message way about what I'm trying to produce. And that's really what has been driving Glisten. Now, Glisten originally started as a way for creators to really build authentic communities for them and for their audiences to grow. And what we're about to launch and what I'm going to show you today is the next generation of that platform, which is oriented for brands, brand agencies, to be able to look at aggregate trends across those communities. So that's the preface. I'll dive in and I'm going to show you a real world example. This is actually an example that I was working on with one of our clients earlier this week. This is a talent agency that works with a lot of big name celebrities. A trend now is for these celebrities to start creating their own products, which they want to take direct to consumer. They're going to use influencers as the core prong of that strategy for distribution, for getting word out. What needs to happen now is they need to be able to find a set of influencers that do two things. They both have to speak to the product and to what this product is about. They also have to be aligned with the celebrity. They have to be aligned with this other brand that's coming into the mix. So it's kind of a hat trick, and they have to be able to figure this out. And so I'm going to show you a set of influencers here that they have been trying to evaluate in order to understand if their campaign aligns. David, am I just able to just go ahead and share screen and we're good?
Yeah, you should be all set for that.
Okie doke. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. This is the Glisten dashboard that marketers and brands will be able to see. What we're evaluating right now is about 110 Instagram creators and 63 YouTube creators. And this celebrity is going to be launching a cosmetic product that is really about acne. And they are looking for a set of influencers who they can gift this product to, who are going to be able to speak in an organic, authentic way about this product. And they need to understand what these people have talked about in the past. Glisten operates in kind of two main features: lists and lenses. A list is just what it sounds like. It's a list of creators or influencers that you're trying to understand for any number of reasons. Lenses are ways in which you want to learn about that list. And so you can create any lens. It's a lot like doing a search, but it's using an AI technique called semantic searching. And so that's basically looking at the meanings of words and how close those words associate with other concepts, other language concepts. So, for example, if I put in dog food, the brand Purina is already kind of known to be semantically similar. It will be drawn in and you will see results related to that. It's very different from the way that a Google works or prior social listening tools work, where they're looking at keyword frequency, occurrences of hashtags, etc. We do something very different. Now, what you're seeing here is a list of creators who have been matched against all of these terms in this lens. This lens, you're seeing various strengths. This is saying that the brand Murad is weakly or less frequently understood or seen in this list of these creators. But niacinamide, I've learned a lot of dermatological terms working on this campaign, by the way. Niacinamide is strongly associated within this list. Makes some sense. Murad is a somewhat more esoteric brand. CeraVe stronger, but these larger concepts more strongly associated. It is saying here that brown skin derm, this creator, who's actually a somewhat smaller creator, because they're hitting on La Roche-Posay and CeraVe, et cetera, is the most aligned against this entire lens. But if we wanted to filter in, we could just look and see who are the creators that are strongly associated with CeraVe. And here we see that Shani Darden has actually now risen to the top. And so you can decide to look at the lens as a whole, or you can drill in on the lens specifically. And when we look at the creator specifically, we can click on this creator. And now what we're seeing is why? Why does this creator actually align with the lens? And so here we're seeing these lens match results. And this is saying for La Roche-Posay, these are the posts that most strongly align with that. And so what we're doing is, this creator has posted thousands and thousands of posts, but in seconds, what Glisten has done is found the most authentically aligned posts based on transcript extraction, community feedback to this particular point on the lens. We've also done something else. So just for a moment, what Glisten is doing is it's reading everything, transcript data, community data. We even analyze what's happening within an image, break that down, and then we're doing a bunch of other things. We're looking at tonality, not just sentiment, positive, negative. We're actually trying to understand the emotional tonality. This is important, right? Angry versus critical are two different things. Critical is like somewhat negative under classical sentiment analysis, but it's actually instructive and can be engaging. Angry, not so much. We also do brand safety. Now, if anybody in here was talking about hate speech, sexual content, that kind of stuff, you would see a giant warning sign. We would pull up that content. You could review it, delete them, etc. The whole notion here is to get to a list that you like, okay, and share that internally with clients through a live link, through an export, etc. So you're seeing the mix. This is literally the tonal shift of how brown skin derm talks about La Roche-Posay. But if we wanted to see how they talked about CeraVe, we can shift and see just CeraVe related products. We can also see what other kinds of products or topics are being adjacently spoken about. This is really important. If you want to know authentic voice, if you want to know in what context was this brand or product mentioned, now you can do that. And you can go ahead and pivot. And when you pivot, Glisten is going to tell you not just that brown skin derm was talking about Clinique, but also who else in this list is talking about Clinique. And you can decide to pivot in there. and then see how they're discussing it and dive deeper. So really, this is a way in which the brand or the agency can deep dive and really understand, again, why. Why are these creators authentically aligned with this product category, this particular brand, this set of competitive brands? And do I want to work with them? How does this inform my creative strategy? How do I want to talk about this product? What do I want to avoid? And I'll just leave you on this last point. This data is live. This updates in near real time. And so not only is this telling you a priori what these creators might match against, but tomorrow, Allison Huller may have posted something new. Her community may have said something new, and she'll come to the top of this list now. And so you might even see more related topics about, say, a campaign you've launched, or you'll see that a competitor has launched something and there's chatter amongst this segment of creators. So this is not just an upstream planning and research tool. This becomes a live monitoring dashboard for you to understand how a campaign is performing in terms of lift and impact, as well as how a competitor might be affecting a set of influencers that you're observing. And you'll be able to see these trends as they happen. So it's
Thank
an
you.
interesting way to both manage your influencers as well as to be able to do deep research. So
Thank you.
that's this platform. Please.
So sorry, I want to stay on time, and we have a ton of really great questions in here. Also, just so everybody knows, I have an Airtable form that I can put in the chat at the end of this, that if you want to connect with any of these founders, we would love that. We're happy to make those intros to do a deeper dive. So a few questions. We have about 3 to 4 minutes for questions. So the first one is from Jean. How did you choose those terms, and how do you know they are the best terms?
That's a great question. I chose these terms in conjunction with some of the campaign managers for this talent agency. You can choose any terms you want. We could play around with this, and I could show you guys how you could look for anything within these lists here. Terms come from, we give sort of like structured lenses. So if you're doing a competitive analysis, there's a query builder that basically says, hey, let's put in brands from the surrounding like product category. And you could put in, CeraVe, Sephora, whomever, whatever else you wanted to, and you'd see those pull back. If you wanted to dive in on the product category, it's about product attributes. So those things come from RFPs, creative briefs, consult with the clients, et cetera. And then you're able to just see these things change. You save your lenses in a library, you save your lists in a library. They're interchangeable.
Awesome. Next question. Do you build your semantic search based on creators' posts to identify relevant brands and target audiences?
You absolutely can do that. And that's a primary use case. It's a very flexible system. So you can do other things. If you wanted to find brand safety issues, let's say we have an election coming up, there's a ton of hot button issues. You could build a lens purely around election names and such, and you could find out if somebody's kind of going off the rails. Save that as a lens. And then when you want to come back to brands and target audience attributes, that's a new lens. You just reapply that to the same list.
Great. Thank you so much. And Adam said, how live is this list? How often is it updated? Ethan, you said in nearly real time, correct?
Yeah, so it's sub 12-hour updates. It depends on the size of the list, obviously, but it's sub 12-hour updates.
Great. And what is Glyston's revenue model?
It's a straightforward SaaS business model. So we basically do a subscription, and it scales as the amount of data that you're interacting with scales.
Great. Is this a custom LLM, or did you build it on an existing one?
It's a mix of both custom and off-the-shelf technology, and it's not just one system. Really, what we try to do is build solutions to problems. There's a number of different tools you got to bring to bear in order to do that.
Great. And how do you add the creators? When you add in a YouTube or Instagram creator, Does your system automatically transcribe and add all the content?
Yes, all you have to do is put in a username. You can upload CSVs as big as you want of user IDs, and we just go ahead and eat them and save them for you.
Awesome. We are knocking them out. We have a couple more. Can you filter for B2B or B2C influencers?
That's an interesting question. We don't have an explicit filter for it, but I think you actually could filter for it by using lenses. I'd love to connect afterwards and understand a little bit more that use case, because that's kind of interesting. And there could be a couple of different ways to do it.
Okay. What are other things you can look at people through? Country, background, type of content they provide, number of followers, etc.
Yeah, some of those selection criteria are kind of like, hey, regional, audience demography, that kind of stuff. Those things would be done a priori. That would be done like, hey, I'm pulling together this list. These are my North American folks who are like on this SES, that kind of stuff. Within the system, it's primarily like outside of just these like terms and semantic measures, it's more like engagement rates, follow counts, comments, those kinds of things.
Awesome. And I think this will probably be the last one unless we can be quick. I see YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Does it scrape all SM platforms, social media platforms? What about Reddit and Discord? Give us a little bit of intel on your roadmap.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So today it is YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We actually do have Discord capabilities. They're pretty neat. They're generally not in this kind of analysis. And Reddit, LinkedIn, all of these things are fair game and on the table and on our roadmap. And we're trying to bang them out as fast as we can.
And Jess, I think also, Ethan, if you want to just respond to anyone else in the chat as we go on, you feel free to do so. And then
Awesome.
we can, just keep it moving.
Awesome. Thanks,
Perfect.
you guys.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ethan. It's great.
Absolutely.
Again, awesome questions. Okay, the next company that we're going to bring up is BigCo, run by Josh Bowen. I've had the privilege of backing Josh's last company, CrowdTwist, which might be a throwback for some people. But we invested in that company at my corporate VC. It sold to Oracle for over $100 million. Josh and the early technical team are back together now, building in a similar space, this time tackling SMS and customer experience for brands. So Josh, come on up. You're muted.
Can you hear me now? Super nice to see some familiar faces. Paul Greenberg, David Berkowitz, we appreciate this. It's really nice. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. Get your phones ready. This is participatory. I also want this to be I got to start my little timer over here. I want this to be very, feel free to ask questions. I'm not looking at the questions, but feel free to ask them. I'll tell you everything you want to know about how we use AI. I feel like probably everyone at the table, and if you haven't, raise your hand, but everyone at the table has used AI for generative AI to help you write things and craft things. I think that's pretty standard ops today. We do it in a lot of different ways. And so I want to show you some of the special things we do. High level, what we've done is we've built give your customers at a brand a better white label experience. Come on. Uh-oh. No. My computer has crashed. Hold on, guys. Sorry, can you see me now? Great. We're just going to go this way. So I want to tell a story real quickly. As Jessica alluded, she invested in my last company. It started out as a better fan club. It was actually loyalty software. So it was acquired by Oracle in 2019. I got really lucky, built a company from my couch to about 80 people, worked with very big brands. So we have agency partners to thank for that, including David Berkowitz, opened the door when we had basically nothing in a platform and said, oh, I feel comfortable introducing these guys to JCPenney. JCPenney wrote us a big check, about $35,000, or maybe it was more than that. I don't even remember. it wouldn't have been possible without agency partners. Agency controlled the keys to the candy store. We're going around this again. So afterward, if you guys have any interest in seeing a one-on-one demo and learning more about this, I'd love to do that. Basically what happened is I was in a meeting at MTV. U2's management team wanted to give the best seat to the best fan. They were giving the best seat to the best ticket broker because they knew nothing about that person. So we built this platform to learn more about them. And it was great and it was awesome, but there were things we didn't like about it. We didn't like points. We didn't like that we were in the middle of the stack and we couldn't control our destiny. And so what does that mean? We collected all this data and we'd push it to systems, and then they'd send the same email out. Very discouraging. And so what happened? Well, we saw the rise of SMS used by brands. I follow 400 brands because I have an SMS messaging company, but I'm guessing everyone around the table follows a couple, and I can bet 99 times out of 100, you got a promotional coupon and not much else on that channel. And that's really a shame. This is on everyone's phone. You don't need an app. You talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and it's a conversation. You go back and forth. And what are people seeing? Well, people are seeing spammy overuse. I'll get 3 coupons from the same big brand in a week, and you're like, what? How many times do I need a pair of pants in a week? It's a dead channel, right? So you ask a question, and again, 9 times out of 10, it's going to say, call this number or email me here for help. Why? And then again, there's zero personalization. I'll keep the brand anonymous. I've shopped at a brand since college. I'll guarantee you they know I'm a dude, yet every other piece of content I get from them is for women's apparel. Doesn't make any sense, right? And so I think really what came about is we understand how to collect data, drive engagement, and focus on retention and LTV. And I think these channels arose during the pandemic because it was a perfect time. You were sitting on your couch, I'd send you a coupon, you'd buy something on the website, I'd send you another coupon, you'd buy something, and back and forth. And so it really became a bad habit at retailers and CPG companies because it drives this merry-go-round of promotionality. And so what we decided to do is say, hey, we do that. You can do those campaigns, but why don't you open up this channel to a lot more? And so that's what we're doing. We're turning SMS on its head. We built an amazing platform. We're going to get into it. You're going to participate in this right now. And we're going to show you how you can use AI to scale a richer experience across this. And so I'll stop there real quickly and just tell you a little bit about how we use AI. So we use AI to read the texts that are coming in, infer different topics, answer it when we can. We don't unleash this bot because a big brand doesn't want that. But how did we do that? So we went about using Bedrock on the Amazon Web Services platform. It allows you to plug in all the different models. We've tried them all. We've had the best luck with Claude. And then we take everything we collect. We take the knowledge base of a brand, so their website, their FAQ, any of the materials they send to us, and we send it into a retrieval augmented generative model as a prompt and take it from there. So let's go ahead and explore some of this right now. So take your phones out, everyone. I'm going to do the same. You're going to scan this QR code. It's going to pop open an SMS, and we're going to send that right now. And so, look, we have this beautiful platform, and I have seen all the players out
back?
there.
I tried
Sorry?
to scan it right as you were.
Oh, sorry. I only had 1 coffee today, I promise.
Yeah, phone didn't Face ID fast enough.
So, first off, I think we're entirely different than Attentive, Acclavio, Postscript, whoever else is out there. I've seen all of their platforms, and if I were them, what you're seeing today has been developed in about 14 months. I would be really scared. And those organizations have amazing sales teams. But in terms of their platforms and where they're going down the line, I think we're looking at this in a new and a different way, and it's exciting. We have a beautiful platform here. We're going to take you into it. You're going to see some people's names here that have already seen a demo. I'm going to call you out. Jess, you didn't sign up. Did you send it, Jess? Great. Well, it's coming in. Who's 310-844? You're going to be the guinea pig here today.
Love this. It's awesome.
Who's the guinea pig? 310-844-8374.
That's me.
Who is that?
Karan Bhavandi.
How do you-
Karan.
How do you spell it? I'm sorry.
Karan.
Karam.
N. N like Nancy. Yeah. And then last name Bhavandi. B like Bob. Oh, okay.
Ron, we'll just stop right there. So look, you get this first, a nice environment. We have real-time segmentation. Everyone says they have real-time segmentation. I can tell you right now, they don't. You have this recency frequency monetization score. And if there is information about you here, and I'll show you a profile that has information, I'll show you myself, you'd see that here, which provides a nice view into the information you can use to segment these people and reach out to them. So here's a profile of me. I'm in 10014. I'm not today. My wife lives and works in Paris. I happened to just land this morning. My birthday is September 11th. Yes, I just turned 48 years old. My score is 100 because I give 10 demos a day. These are the audiences. This is the purchase information, history, links, things that I click, photos. Most people think about a brand sending you photos. We can receive photos. Why is that nice? We work with a lot of skincare brands, similar to Glisten. And they had a big business online. And now they can say, hey, send me a picture of complexion and we'll develop a regimen for you, which is really cool. But let's get into why this is special. So I'm going to take you through the old way to collect data. And again, these are basics, but the other platforms don't do this. Type the word skin, S-K-I-N. Send it. It's going to ask you how to collect data in the old way. You're going to send A, B, C, or D back. And then we're going to go through the new way that uses artificial intelligence. Tell me when you sent it. I'm all the way in Paris. Sometimes I have to refresh it. The internet's not always as fast as we want it to be. Karan, I need you to participate.
Okay, what do you mean need me to send?
Skin, S-K-I-N. Sorry, Karan, you got selected as the guinea pig. I know I'm at 9 minutes. How many minutes do I have, Jess? You're on
Sorry, I
mute.
was on mute. Let's say another minute, and then we're gonna switch to Q&A.
Great.
And Chaz, we'll start on Starday at about 12:43.
So interesting. There's no AI in what you did right here. But again, what happened is you get to actually pull that data out. It's now tied to the profile. We push that to other systems. Let's show you what a conversational flow is. So type the word demo, Karan, D-E-M-O, and send that. And this is how you use AI to pull structured data out of conversations. Very powerful, very different. No one's doing it. So I'll show you this, and then I'll show you one other thing. And this is only a 1/1,000,000th of a segment of what we do. So Karan, type the word demo.
I did in my chat
it goes.
box. Oh, yeah.
Great. So we got exciting local events coming up. Could you share your zip code? You can say my zip code is, you could just type your zip code. Let's do that really quickly. And then it's going to ask you for your skin type after you do this. And so you can say, hey, in the summer, my skin is oily. My skin is dry. It's dry. Share something back on this. And so what you're seeing over here is, first off, your BigCo score is changing, right? That's an algorithm based on a decay curve. In addition to that, you've already automatically been segmented into the hydration concern. And now we're going to learn some more about you. So again, Karan, you need to say your skin type. Maybe I just need to refresh it. And so for the other people who haven't done this flow yet, you can also do different things within here from an AI. And this is the first thing that we did to identify a question. So I'm in the sun a lot. Our moisturizer would be a great option to help with your dry skin. Not exactly what I expected, but this is taking you through a conversational flow. People who haven't done the flow yet, why don't you ask a question? Where is my store located? Someone sent an image. So when you ask, where is my store located? it's going to be really interesting because it bounces it against a model and it says, great, we can answer this. And so we're going to answer that question back. This is what eliminates hallucinations. We answered that. So if you send out a campaign to 1 million people, we can identify the people that need a reply, or they're people that we've actually answered back to. So if I go in here real quickly, I've never done it with 15 people doing it all at one time. But what you're going to see is, the case, we'll check it out. Where is my store? It identified this as a question. We send a prompt in. That's correct. It could answer it in some actuality. It sends you a response back. I'm going to stop there and pause. Hopefully you got a little kick out of doing a live demo. I'm interested to see everyone's responses behind the scenes after this. But I really appreciate you taking time to learn a little bit more about this.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. If anybody wants to drop things in the chat or reply. So how conversational can this get? It still feels very transactional.
Yeah, so look, we've unleashed the LLM in entirety onto things, and there's no big brand that would be comfortable with the responses yet. It just isn't accurate enough. And you get 99 out of 100 answers are fine. And then one answer, you're like, what? What happened? And so, you know, we've had plenty of conversations with big brands and they're like, we do not feel comfortable unleashing anything that has any element outside the rails. And so what we've done is we've still put it within these very tight confines, but it is more conversational in the sense that we can pull data out of that conversation.
Awesome. Can you use this platform for healthcare or B2B? If so, is it HIPAA compliant yet?
Yeah, you know, I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of HIPAA, to be very clear. We've had a bunch of conversations actually with veterinary companies that want to use this in terms of subscription products and products related to their pets. I don't think that's quite HIPAA compliance, but happy to explore that. And
can you maybe just for better content share more about, you mentioned skincare is one ICP that you're working with. Can you share a few of the other categories that have been doing well with BigCo?
Yeah, beverage and retail. So in the product category vein, a lot of the D2C companies are now realizing they need to be actually in the retail locations. So they built this nice online business, but getting into retail locations means they need to drive traffic to those spots. One of our brands, Nectar Hard Seltzer, we just filmed a video with them last week. I just found this out. They had the largest weekend product drop in HEB history. It's a grocery store in Texas. Because they knew zip codes of their community and have an active, engaged audience, they drove more people to these locations than HEB had ever seen for a product drop, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. And what is the cost? Can it be used for customers?
It's a SaaS model. There's a license fee and then there's a usage fee. Most people in this space kind of bulk them together, so it's very confusing. We separate them, so it's very clear what you're going to pay from a usage fee.
Can it be used for customer support as well?
Yeah, so that's why, you know, we think most people use it and it's a dead end channel. You can either use customer deflection, which is the engine responding to people, and hire a community manager. Or you can push it through a Gorgeous or Zendesk, which you've integrated with, and have your support team answer tickets.
Perfect. Okay, 2 quick questions for quick answers before I hand it over to Chaz. Oh my God. Hot take, how and why is this different and better than Attentive? And number 2, how do users feel about their SMS being bombarded with yet more messages from brands? It felt like the final place to keep friends and families until politicians have recently been exploiting it hourly. No kidding, right? Are they ruining it for brands as a comms channel? Spicy hot take from an SMS company.
So first off, I'd say that spicy hot take is dead on. Politicians are nonprofits, so they can do whatever they want, and they probably think even if they're going to get sued, they're going to be out of business in 3 months. The Attentives of the world, I've seen Attentive in and out. They're not good at pulling structured data out and applying it and having a conversation. And they say they do it, they just don't do it. And there are very few companies out there where you get a co-founder on the phone with your brand to get this thing going, and our product velocity is incredibly high, meaning there are things you want from a feature standpoint or build out, and we're going to do it for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Again, the company is BigCo. I will put it in the chat and circulate a form to make any connections. So thank you so much. And our last presenter, thanks, Josh. Our last presenter is Chaz Flexman. He is the founder and CEO of Starday. We've had the privilege of working with them. They are using AI and data models to identify and predict pent-up consumer demand, and then building products around them. So they already have distribution in Target and Walmart and Whole Foods and Sprouts, you name it. They have just been on a tear, which is really exciting. And it's all coming from building bottoms up and really understanding these user preferences and where there can be demand generation. So Chaz is a veteran and partial legend in this category. So I'll turn it over to him. Thanks for joining.
Right. So yeah, we're a little bit different. Like Jess said, we're trying to build the next Nestle, but we're doing it kind of data science at the core, predicting kind of where there's pent up consumer demand, and essentially product market fit before we even kind of go build a brand. You know, if you think about like Shein and Stitch Fix and apparel, you know, people like green t-shirts, they go make that. Oddities does something very similar in beauty, and we're trying to kind of take everything we know from consumer software and apply it to F&B that's so attribute and data heavy. You know, the old analogy I always like to give, if you ever seen the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, the introduction of sabermetrics into baseball, kind of very similar, moving from you know, human qualitative insight to quantitative, you know, understanding of you know, what products to make, what team to put on the field. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do this kind of at a high level. So we've got a number of pieces of software that I'll double click into. But this all starts with the consumer and who the consumer is. And so we built our own custom CDP that uses a combination of first party survey and census data to really understand the difference between a Sprout shopper or a Target guest. It's all structured around these kind of need, solution, behavior states. Because when you're shopping for products in retail, you're trying to solve for something. You're trying to solve for some, you know, dietary trend or avoiding a certain, you know, kind of ingredient. And so we can kind of build this statistical representation of who, you know, the difference between that Target guest and the Sprouts consumer, and then what are kind of attributes that matter most to them. We then pull this into what we call our trend tracker, which is we essentially kind of scrape dozens of different sites for anything that's consumer generated content. So this can be recipe sites, menu sites, TikTok, Instagram. We pull about 10 million posts a week. And from there, we use a bunch of generative AI to say like, great, let's say the Sprouts consumer cares about gut health. Let's build what we call an ontology around that, which is a combination of just kind of an architecture of how you kind of pull this different unstructured data together. From there, we have scoring and ranking algorithms that say like, great, how's this growing? How's this growing over time? How's that relevant back to that Sprouts consumer? We look at, use a bunch of generative AI to say like, great, you know, under something like gut health, you might have IBS, but then rib shows up because it's RIBS. And so we're able to kind of use generative AI to say like, hey, this actually isn't associated, but these other words are related to IBS. Let's pull in more and more content related to that to understand how this is changing over time. What happens from there is we actually create a proposal, and I'll show a little bit more about this, which is what we can kind of hand off to our R&D team. So it's starting to say like, great, not only do we know about school safe type allergens, but we know consumers are caring about like a certain NFP profile or a certain ingredient. They want vegetables or some sort of kind of healthy offering to help kind of create a framework for our product development. And then lastly, we've created what we call a retail product database, which scrapes about 160,000 SKUs that are sold and sorted a day. And we use a couple different models to actually pull what's on the packaging to say like, great, what attributes are out there? Where you're seeing a concentration of products or white space? Where's there, you know, different kind of pricing elasticity depending on the ingredients that are in there? And really kind of helping to kind of understand the price pack architecture of like, great, you know, what do we need to be putting on shelf? Where's there that kind of white space and what kind of, you know, price point do we need to be in? And so all of our data models are essentially trying to say like, who is the consumer, what's the consumer need, and then what's the right product to put on shelf. So, you know, a little bit about this, you'll see from consumer data platform, we started to get this segmentations of like Sprouts consumers, and then the next most likely set of Sprouts consumers. We can understand the certifications that they care about, the different health claims or behaviors that they're doing to try to solve for these different kind of behaviors or ways that they're eating. We then will start to pull that into a trend, like I said, and create the scoring logic of where we're seeing clusters of these different attributes. And we look at it across a couple different things. Like one, how many different profiles are actually caring about this? And so it's, how big of an audience is there for it? And then also how specific is this? Maybe there's a smaller segmentation of consumers, but it's something that's really, really, matters a lot to them. And to benchmark against kind of the average consumer. So compared to the average consumer, how much more do they care about this? And how many different kind of consumer segmentations are around that? What we'll see is that then gets pulled in kind of these trend recommendations. And, for something that's more mainstream, you'll see there's a lot more kind of health claims and certifications and attributes that are kind of on pack, which, is not surprising. But things that are more emerging, it tends to be things that are more behavior based, right? People are exercising to feel more energy or reduce their stress or prioritizing cognitive health. And basically what we're seeing is like, great, if that's a behavior that they're implementing, how do we start to create products around that? And how kind of where in the adoption curve is this that we can kind of think it's going to be becoming more mainstream? As I said, we pull this into our trend models, and we're starting to kind of see these relationships between something like cognitive health and then energy, mood, sleep, focus, and different words and associations that are kind of created from that. And so this is where the kind of the output starts to look like is great. People are looking for like caffeine-free and plant-based products that help boost energy, improve mood, increase focus. That can be nootropics, that can be adaptogens, adaptogen ingredients to help relieve stress or indigestion. And really all this is kind of helping us reduce the amount of risk that we have when launching a product. So kind of slicing, that kind of innovation and product development life cycle more and more to kind of understand, great, how do we put the right product on shelf that consumers actually want? And this is kind of the brief that we'll kind of end up giving to our R&D team of like, great, we know people are looking for these caffeine-free energizing morning options. And so we get these associated needs, the pain points, the potential attributes to add, which gives us a sandbox to develop the actual products around and create these kind of benchtop samples that we'll then actually test with consumers. So we do blinded NPS scoring with consumer for taste and texture and kind of all those key attributes. But really, this kind of flies in the face of how most F&B companies are built, which is kind of that founder narrative fallacy of like, I had allergens as a kid, so I'm gonna create like an allergen-free cookie brand. Whereas like, I don't think I've got any kind of, I don't think my taste buds represent mass America. I don't think my POV should dictate what products we put on shelf. But I believe that consumers will tell you what they want if you know how to listen. That creates more repeatable kind of consistent kind of outputs and a much higher kind of hit rate and success rate over time. So that's me talking really fast.
Thanks, Chaz. I would expect nothing less. So, all right, we got a few good questions. This is one from Zachary that we've personally talked about a lot. Interesting concept. I'm wondering if brand building has any role in your model.
Yeah, so we care a lot about the packaging and how those different attributes and consumer needs show up on packaging. Because at the end of the day, packaging is just an advertising unit on shelf with kind of 5 main attributes of diet, health, ingredient, cuisine, and then brand. And so we really think a lot about like how we make sure that those kind of need and solutions that we're identifying show up on pack. So like we're launching a school-safe, top-end allergen-free snacks for kids. And we can see that most brands, even if they have allergen-free, hide that on the back of the pack, meaning a consumer's got to pick it up, turn around and review the ingredient list, versus our scream school-safe and top-end allergen-free because it's an impulse purchase as you're walking by it on the shelf. And so, yes, brand matters, but it's a lot in that kind of like impulse decision of that 5 seconds as they're walking by a shelf. Are you catching them with the right attributes of what they care about?
Yeah. Awesome. And just to reiterate, where is the consumer need data being scraped from to inform these trend conclusions?
I mean, there's it's a meaty question. We pull it from anywhere that there's consumer generated content, number one. And so we're pulling, like I said, about 10 million posts across the internet today. We also have, our custom CDP, which is a combination of survey, census, and first-party data, like receipt data that we get to understand more and more around that shopper and their behaviors in store.
Awesome. And how much of the workflow is finding the right data sets? Are these coming primarily from the client, like Mondelez, or is there a lift on your end to answer the questions via external data?
It's all external data. We don't ask for any, again, we build the products, right? So I'm trying to create the next Mondelez or create the next Nestle. The only thing, when we're launching a product with a retailer, we'll ask is like, great, do you have velocity in this category? And that's for two things. One, I'm not going to ask Target to take out Sun Chips because that's a $500 million brand, right? But also, if they don't sell a lot of chocolate bars, I don't want to be pushing a rock uphill, and finding kind of a risk-adjusted place to make sure that we're launching with retailers where there's still a white space, but it's not asking them to take out kind of their highest turning sort of SKUs.
Perfect. Awesome. Any other questions? So is the retailer the client?
No, we actually, we kind of joke that we are the client. So instead of selling the software, we're building this internally. Yes, we partner with retailers to put products on shelf. So it's, B2B to C to get products. But at the end of the day, we're selling a product to consumers and making sure that we're capturing that consumer need and generating velocity on shelf with the products that we're selling.
Yep, exactly. Can this deliver trends before they are trends, as in synthesize and create something new instead of chasing what's already there?
Yes. A great example of this is we saw this trend about a year and a half ago around people looking for high protein and non-soy-based protein options. We built a brand called All Day Toppers. That's like it's 15 grams of protein. That's like a crunchy topper. You can put it on a salad, a pasta, eat it straight up as a snack. It's a chickpea protein, so it's not soy-based. We built that, brought it to Sprouts, and this is about a year ago. We're just starting to see this like high protein trend, which now feels fairly obvious. We launched it earlier this summer on shelf, and now we're the #1 product brand in the category after just 2 months. And so, same thing with like School Safe. We can see that it's emerging. We have a pretty good sense of where that's going, but it's not everywhere yet. And so now we're launching a whole line of School Safe products. And so we spend a lot of time scoring and ranking these to see where in that kind of adoption curve they are and making sure we're kind of at the right point.
Is the information this pulls together used to gain distribution in retailers and for e-commerce?
We pretty much avoid e-commerce. E-commerce breaks what's called the price to density ratio, which means it's low AOV and very bulky and heavy to ship, which means you lose money on it. Unless you're selling powders or stuff that's really kind of high AOV, but not very dense, it just doesn't work. And so this is all to go and sell into retail. We'll actually go to retailers and say hey, we can show you if you want to capture more consumer wallet share, if you want to drive same store sales, we can show you in our data model where you've got a right to win, and let's go partner and launch these products together.
So for example, this can help be a really nice partnership to help expand private label, i.e. for Target or things like that. And it can be more of a partnership type experience to be launching new products that are really data driven with the built-in distribution network of somebody like a Target or a Walmart or a Sprouts as you're partnering with them. Is that a fair way to frame it?
Minus the private label. These are still our own brands. So if they wanted to do private label, they'd have to buy us. But because we need control of the packaging to make sure that the attributes that we're seeing show up on pack, and that's not something they're willing to give up.
Yes, perfect. 12:58, so I want to be mindful on time. Thank you, Chaz, and Josh and Ethan. David, I'll hand it back to you to close things up, but thank you everybody for being here. I'm going to put an Airtable in the chat. If any of these are interesting to you guys, you want to learn more, just drop your name into this Airtable, ping whichever companies you want to talk to, and my firm is happy to make those connection points. And David, over to you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Just love the slew of questions as always. So you never disappoint when I tell folks like Jess that these are going to be some heavy-hitting questions, and we'll give the founders a run for the money here. So hope that this is just the start of conversations. I know it's like the best and worst of both worlds because you always want to have more, but But we got a great taste of some amazing innovations in different parts of the industry. Thanks everyone for joining. We've got some more great events next week. So you've got the Luma links, check that out. Anyone needs further intros, let me know. I know where to find all these people, but be sure to fill out the Airtable too. That'll be an easy way to get there. Thank you so much to Jessica and Michael and Hannah Gray and Josh, Chaz, Ethan. Just it's been terrific. So appreciate all of you for doing this.
Thank you for all the
Thank you so much,
participation.
guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, David. Thanks, Jess.